Hey everyone, welcome back. Tonight we're doing something a little different. Something darker. Dim the lights, get comfortable, maybe grab some water because trust me, you'll need it after this. In 1536, a woman woke up in the Tower of London, knowing she had exactly 3 days left to live. Her name was Anne Boleyn. Her crime? Failing to give the king a son. The executioner had already been summoned from France. He was considered the best. He used a sword instead of an axe. Cleaner, they said, more merciful. Anne was told this was a kindness, but here's what they don't tell you in the history books. In those final 72 hours, Anne was subjected to psychological torture that would break most people. Mock trials where the verdict was already written. Interrogations designed to extract confessions of adultery and witchcraft. Her own uncle presided over her sentencing, condemning her to death without a flicker of hesitation. And when the moment came, she knelt in the straw, tucked her skirts around her legs for modesty even in death, and reportedly said the executioner was good, and she had a little neck, gallows humour, literally, one swing. Her head rolled. She was 35 years old. But here's the thing that'll really mess with you tonight. Anne Boleyn was one of the lucky ones, because what we're about to explore isn't just the story of one doomed queen. It's what daily life was actually like in Tudor England. And I'm not talking about the romanticised version with courtly love and Renaissance fairs. I'm talking about the reality, where your breakfast could be laced with ergot that makes your fingers fall off, where your neighbour could report you for praying the wrong way and have you burned alive, where a single infected tooth could kill you slowly and painfully over the course of weeks. So before we begin this journey together, take a moment to like this video if you're enjoying this kind of content. Subscribe if you want more deep dives into the brutal truths of history. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is there. I love seeing our community spread across the world. All of us here in the dark, learning together. Now settle in, get that blanket, maybe turn on a fan for some background noise. Because we're about to find out if you could survive just one day in Tudor England. Spoiler alert, you probably couldn't. Let's find out exactly why. Congratulations, you've just opened your eyes in the year 1542, somewhere in the reign of Henry VIII. The good news? You're alive. The bad news? Everything else. The first thing that hits you isn't sight, it's smell. Your bedroom reeks like something died in it, which, to be fair, something probably did. That scratching sound in the walls? Rats. Big ones. They've been living in the thatched roof above your head, and occasionally one falls through and lands on your face while you sleep. Yes, this happened. Regularly. Your bed is what people generously call a mattress, but is actually a canvas sack stuffed with straw that hasn't been changed since last harvest. It's teeming with life. Fleas hop enthusiastically from the fabric onto your skin. Bedbugs have been feasting on you all night, which explains why you're covered in welts that itch so badly you've scratched yourself raw. And lice. Oh, the lice. They're in your hair, your eyebrows, probably your eyelashes. Everyone has lice. Even the Queen has lice. You blink into the darkness because, even though it's morning, your room is still pitch black. Windows are for rich people. You've got a wooden shutter that's currently closed against the November cold. When you do open it, you'll discover it's covered with a thin piece of oiled linen that lets in about as much light as a dirty dish rag. The air is so cold you can see your breath. There's no heating beyond the cooking fire in the main room, and that's been banked overnight to save firewood. Your wool blanket, the only thing between you and hypothermia, hasn't been washed since last winter. It's stiff with accumulated sweat, grease, and things you don't want to think about. It probably weighs 15 pounds. But here's the part that really drives home how different this world is. You're not alone. Tudor houses don't have bedrooms, in the modern sense. You're in a one-room dwelling with your entire family. Your parents are in the next bed over. Your 4 siblings are piled beside you like puppies. You've been sleeping in the same clothes you wore yesterday, and you'll wear them again today, because you only own one outfit. Privacy is a concept that won't be invented for another few centuries. You try to sit up and immediately regret it. Your joints crack like kindling. Your back spasms. You're 23 years old, but your body feels ancient. That's because you've been doing hard physical labor since you were 7. Your spine has the kind of damage modern doctors would diagnose as advanced degenerative disc disease. But there are no modern doctors. There's barely any doctors at all. The church bell clangs in the distance. It's the Tudor alarm clock, except louder and infinitely less merciful. 5 in the morning. Time to start your day. Your bare feet hit the floor and immediately sink into something wet. The thatched roof has been leaking again. Or maybe that's not rainwater. Maybe it's where the chamber pot overflowed during the night. Either way, your feet are now part of the ecosystem, picking up who knows what from the dirt floor. And speaking of that chamber pot, nature is calling. Screaming, actually. Time to face the Tudor bathroom situation, which is about to make you very nostalgic for modern plumbing. So you've managed to pry yourself out of your flea-infested bed. Your body aches, your skin itches, and now your bladder is sending urgent messages that cannot be ignored. Here's where things get medieval, except this is the Tudor period, which somehow managed to be worse. Your bathroom is a wooden bucket in the corner, just a bucket. No toilet seat, no flush mechanism, no air freshener desperately trying to mask the smell. Just a bucket that's already half full because Uncle Thomas had a rough night after eating questionable meat pie at the tavern. The smell hits you like a physical force. It's the kind of stench that makes your eyes water and your stomach lurch. But you have no choice. Everyone uses the bucket. Your whole family takes turns throughout the day and night, adding to the collective sewage pool. You do your business quickly, trying not to breathe through your nose, which doesn't really work because the smell seems to bypass your nostrils and attack your brain directly. And now comes the really fun part. What do you do with the contents? Technically, you're supposed to carry the bucket to the communal cesspit at the end of the street. But it's 5 in the morning, it's freezing, and that cesspit is a 10-minute walk through the dark. So you do what everyone else does. You open your window shutter and dump it into the street below. There's a phrase you're supposed to shout first. Gardez-l'eau. It's a bastardization of the French Gardez-l'eau. Watch out for the water. Except it's not water. It's liquid human waste arcing through the early morning air to splatter on the cobblestones below. Sometimes you hear a yelp. Someone was walking past. Oops. Tudor London streets aren't streets in the modern sense. They're open sewers. The kennel, the gutter running down the centre, is designed to carry rainwater away. But it's also carrying human excrement, animal dung, rotting food scraps, dead rats, and fluids from the nearby butcher shop, where they slaughter pigs and just let the blood run into the street. When it rains, this creates a chunky river of filth that flows downhill toward the Thames. When it doesn't rain, it just sits there, baking in the sun, creating a smell so powerful that foreign visitors literally vomit when they first arrive in London. The rats don't care. They're thriving. Huge, fearless rats that feast openly on the garbage. They're so common that people barely notice them anymore. Children play in streets where rats scuttle between their feet. What nobody knows yet is that those rats are carrying fleas. And those fleas are carrying death. Yersinia pestis, plague bacteria, is always present, always waiting for the right conditions to explode into another outbreak that will kill thousands. But let's get back to you and your personal hygiene. You need to clean yourself, except you can't. Because Tudor medicine, still clinging to ancient Greek medical theory, believes that bathing is dangerous. Water opens your pores, they say, and lets disease and bad humours into your body. So bathing is rare, dangerously rare. Instead you change your underlinen, your shirt or smock, which is supposed to absorb the dirt and sweat from your skin like a human sponge. If you're wealthy, you might change this every few days. If you're poor, maybe once a week, or once a month, or when it's so stiff with accumulated filth that it can practically stand up on its own. Your outer clothes, those never get washed. You've been wearing the same wool tunic for 6 months, the same hose, the same everything. The fabric is impregnated with sweat, grease, food stains, and probably things that would make a modern microbiologist weep. You stink. Everyone stinks. It's universal. The rich just layer expensive perfumes over their stench. Rosewater, ambergris, which is literally vomit from whales, musk. But underneath they smell just as bad as everyone else. If you're wealthy enough, you might have a pomander, a small decorative ball pierced with holes and filled with spices. You hold it to your nose when the smell of humanity becomes too overwhelming. It doesn't make you clean. It just temporarily masks the olfactory nightmare that is daily Tudor life. And your teeth. Oh God, your teeth. There's no toothbrush. The concept doesn't exist yet. Some people chew on twigs to clean their teeth. Some rinse with wine or vinegar. Most do nothing at all. By the time you're in your mid-20s, your teeth are already rotting. Black spots of decay spreading across the enamel. Your gums are swollen and bleed when you eat. The pain is constant, a dull throb that occasionally spikes into agony. And here's the twisted part. Among the wealthy, sugar is becoming fashionable. It's imported at enormous cost from the New World, and it's so expensive that having rotted, blackened teeth becomes a weird flex. It proves you're rich enough to afford sugar. Queen Elizabeth. I will eventually have such bad teeth that foreign ambassadors comment on her black smile and terrible breath. Court ladies will actually blacken their own teeth with soot to imitate her. But if your tooth becomes seriously infected, you have exactly 2 choices. You can live with the pain until the infection spreads to your bloodstream and kills you. Or you can go to the barber surgeon. The barber surgeon is the same person who cuts your hair. Because why not combine grooming and surgery? What could go wrong? The procedure happens in his shop. No anaesthetic except maybe some ale to dull the senses. 2 strong men hold you down in a chair. The barber takes a pair of iron pliers, grips your rotted tooth and yanks. Sometimes the tooth comes out cleanly. Sometimes it shatters, leaving infected fragments embedded in your jaw. Sometimes your jawbone breaks. You scream. Everyone screams during tooth extractions. It's so common that passers-by don't even glance at the shop. Afterward, you're given a rag soaked in wine to bite down on. That's it. No stitches, no antibiotics, no follow-up care. You just go home and hope it doesn't get infected. It usually gets infected. So here you are, standing in your Tudor bedroom, having just emptied a bucket of human waste into the street, unable to bathe, unable to brush your teeth, covered in insect bites and wearing clothes that haven't been washed in months, and your day has barely started. Time for breakfast, which might actually be the thing that kills you. Your stomach growls. It's been growling for hours because you went to bed hungry last night and the night before that. Hunger is your constant companion. Time to eat breakfast, except breakfast in Tudor England isn't the cheerful meal of eggs and toast you're imagining. It's a daily gamble with your life. The smell of the cooking fire draws you to the main room. Your mother or wife is already there, stirring a pot that's been hanging over the embers all night. Inside is pottage, always pottage. Pottage is what happens when you throw whatever you can find into a pot with water and cook it until it's edible. Grains, beans if you're lucky. Root vegetables that are starting to rot but are still technically food. Maybe a bone with a few scraps of meat clinging to it if someone recently slaughtered an animal. The same pot has been used for days, maybe weeks. You just keep adding things to it. The bottom is probably burnt, and there's a scum floating on top that you try not to think about too hard. But it's hot, and it's food, and that's more than some people have. You get a wooden bowl of this greyish-brown sludge, and a hunk of bread so hard it could double as a weapon. Let's talk about that bread. Tudor bread is a class system made edible. The wealthy eat manchet bread made from finely sifted white flour. It's soft, delicious, and completely out of your price range. You're eating what's called horse bread, made from a mixture of whatever grains are cheapest. Barley, rye, peas ground into flour, sometimes sawdust or ground acorns to bulk it up, because wheat is expensive. The loaf in your hand is dark, dense and tough. You don't slice it so much as attack it with a knife, sawing back and forth until you've hacked off a chunk. When you bite into it, your already damaged teeth send shooting pains through your jaw. But here's where the real danger comes in. See that dark bread made with rye? It might be contaminated with ergot. Ergot is a fungus that grows on rye, especially in wet years. It's invisible when the grain is ground into flour. And when you eat it, it causes ergotism, a condition people call St. Anthony's fire. At first, you just feel a bit strange, maybe dizzy. Maybe you see things that aren't there. Colours seem too bright. Shadows move in your peripheral vision. Then comes the burning. Your extremities feel like they're on fire. Your fingers and toes throb with pain. The blood vessels in your hands and feet constrict, cutting off circulation. Over days and weeks, your fingers turn black. The flesh dies. Eventually, they just fall off. No blood, no pain by that point. Just dead digits dropping into your lap like autumn leaves. Nobody knows what causes it. They think it's God's punishment for sin. So people pray desperately while their hands rot away, convinced they've done something to anger heaven. And you're eating potentially ergot-contaminated bread right now, chewing slowly because your teeth hurt, hoping this isn't the loaf that kills you. Next to your bread is a cup of ale, because water will definitely kill you. Tudor water comes from rivers and wells that are contaminated with sewage. Drinking it is a death sentence. Cholera, dysentery, typhoid, all lurking in every cup of water, so everyone drinks ale instead. Weak ale, only about 1 to 3% alcohol, just strong enough to kill the bacteria, but not strong enough to get you drunk at breakfast. Usually, the ale is brewed locally, often by alewives who make it in their homes. Quality control is non-existent. Sometimes the ale is fine, sometimes it's sour from wild yeast contamination, sometimes it's actively trying to murder you. In 1516, an alewife in London was discovered dumping her chamber pot directly into the brewing vat. Multiple people died from drinking her ale. She was punished by being locked in the pillory, wooden stocks in the public square, where people threw rotting vegetables and rocks at her face for hours. She lost an eye. Then she was banished from the city forever. But how are you supposed to know if your ale is contaminated? You can't. You just drink it and hope for the best. And if you're wealthy enough to eat meat for breakfast, congratulations, you're playing an even more dangerous game. Tudor England has no refrigeration, no understanding of bacteria, no food safety regulations. Meat is preserved through salting, smoking, or just hoping it doesn't rot too fast. Fresh meat is expensive and rare. By the time it reaches your table, it's usually starting to turn. The wealthy mask the taste of spoiling meat with expensive spices, pepper, cloves, cinnamon, all imported at great cost. The flavour isn't for enjoyment, it's to hide the taste of rot. Food poisoning is so common it barely registers as an illness. Vomiting, normal. Diarrhea, happens all the time. Stomach cramps, just part of life. But sometimes people eat something that kills them. Botulism, from improperly preserved meat. Salmonella, from poultry that's been sitting in the sun. Trichinosis, from undercooked pork full of parasitic worms. Last week, Lord Pemberton ate a venison pie on Sunday. By Monday, he was vomiting. By Tuesday, his skin was covered in a rash and his stomach was distended. By Wednesday, he was dead. His bowels emptied so many times there was nothing left but blood and bile. His death was attributed to bad humours, or possibly God's will. Nobody threw out the rest of the venison. His family ate it for dinner. And here's one more fun detail. If you're wealthy enough to eat off pewter plates, you're slowly poisoning yourself with lead. Pewter is made from tin and lead. When you eat acidic foods, like the vinegar-based sauces that are popular in Tudor cuisine, the acid leaches lead from the plate directly into your meal. Over months and years, this causes lead poisoning, abdominal pain, mood swings, cognitive decline, infertility, eventually death. Henry VIII himself probably suffered from lead poisoning. His increasingly erratic behaviour, his paranoia, his violent mood swings, classic symptoms. But nobody knows that, they just think the king is temperamental. So you're sitting here eating bread that might make your fingers fall off, drinking ale that might contain sewage, possibly eating meat crawling with bacteria, maybe off a plate that's slowly poisoning your brain. And this is just breakfast. Your stomach is now full of questionable food, and it's time to go to work. Because in Tudor England, if you don't work, you don't eat. And if you don't eat, you die. It's that simple. The church bell chimes again. Time to work. And by work, I mean destroy your body in exchange for barely enough to survive. What's your job? Well, that was decided the moment you were born. Social mobility is a concept that won't exist for centuries. You were born poor, you'll die poor, and your children will be poor. That's just how it is. Let's say you're a farmer, which you probably are, because 9 out of 10 people in Tudor England work the land. Your day begins at first light and ends when it's too dark to see. In summer, that's 16-hour days. In winter, it's shorter but colder, and you're still working. You head out to the fields with tools that haven't changed much since the Bronze Age. A wooden plough with an iron blade, a sickle for cutting grain, a scythe for hay. Your hands are already covered in calluses so thick they're like leather, but today you'll get fresh blisters that will burst and bleed and then callus over on top of the old calluses. The work is backbreaking in the most literal sense. You're bent double for hours, pushing the plough through hard earth, your spine screaming with every step. The oxen help if you're lucky enough to have oxen. If not, you're the beast of burden, pulling the plough yourself. By midday, your back is on fire. The muscles are knotted and spasming. Your hands are bleeding. Your feet, wrapped in strips of cloth inside crude leather shoes, are covered in blisters and sores. And you're not even halfway through the day. There's no break for lunch beyond maybe some bread and ale consumed in the field. You eat standing up because sitting down means losing momentum, and you can't afford to lose momentum. The sun beats down. There's no sunscreen, no hat beyond maybe some straw you've woven together. Your face and arms are burned dark, which marks you as peasant class. Pale skin means you work indoors, which means you have money. And if you're a woman, you get to do all of this and more. Tudor women work in the fields during planting and harvest season. The rest of the year, you're running the household, which is its own special hell. Spinning wool into thread on a drop spindle for hours until your fingers are cramped and bleeding. Weaving cloth on a loom. Tending the kitchen garden. Brewing ale. Making cheese. Preserving food for winter. Caring for children, including babies you're still nursing while you work. If you're pregnant, and you probably are because contraception doesn't really exist, you work until you go into labour. Some women give birth in the field, cut the umbilical cord with whatever blade is handy, wrap the baby in their apron, and keep working because the harvest won't wait. Childbirth is terrifying. About 1 in 3 women die either during childbirth or from infection shortly after. There's no prenatal care, no pain relief, no understanding of basic hygiene. When your time comes, the midwife is summoned. She's a local woman who learned her trade from watching other births. She might be skilled and experienced. She might be making it up as she goes along. You labour in your home, surrounded by female neighbours who hold you down, pray loudly, and offer advice that ranges from helpful to actively dangerous. The midwife might give you ergot to speed up contractions, the same fungus that makes people's fingers fall off. She might place an eagle stone on your belly, a rock believed to have magical properties. If the baby is breech or the labour stalls, you're probably going to die. The midwife has no tools to intervene. There's no cesarean section. You just labour for hours or days until either the baby comes out or you both die from exhaustion and blood loss. If you survive, you'll likely do this 5, 8, 10 more times. Maybe half of your children will survive to age 5. The others will die from disease, malnutrition, accidents, or causes nobody can explain. Parents don't name babies immediately. You wait a few weeks to see if the child will survive. Why bother naming something that's probably going to die? But let's say you're not a farmer. Maybe you're an apprentice in London, learning a trade. Apprenticeships start young, around 10 or 12 years old. You're bound by contract to a master craftsman for 7 years. During this time, you live in his house, eat his food, work in his shop, and receive no wages, just training. Your master owns you. If he thinks you're lazy or disrespectful, or if he's just in a bad mood, he can beat you. This is legal. As long as he doesn't permanently maim or kill you, he's within his rights. Some masters are kind and treat apprentices like family. Most are not. You work from dawn until late into the night, doing whatever menial tasks the master assigns. Sweeping, carrying heavy loads, grinding materials, the actual skilled work. You'll learn that in year 5 or 6 if you're lucky. You sleep in the workshop or in a tiny room with the other apprentices. Privacy doesn't exist, neither does comfort. You're cold in winter, hot in summer, always tired, always hungry because the food is rationed. If you're a woman, your options are even grimmer. You can be a domestic servant, which means long hours, terrible pay, and a high risk of sexual assault from your employer or his sons. You can be a seamstress, working your fingers to the bone sewing shirts for pennies. You can be an alewife, which pays better, but comes with the risk of being blamed and punished if anyone gets sick from your brew. Or you can be a prostitute. Tudor London has thousands of prostitutes. The stews of Southwark, technically illegal brothels, operate openly despite Henry VIII's moral reforms. The work is dangerous beyond measure. Disease, violence, arrest, social stigma, but for some women, it's the only way to eat. Here's the brutal truth. Everyone is one disaster away from destitution. Your husband dies, you lose everything. His property goes to his male relatives. You're left with nothing. You get injured and can't work. Starvation. You get sick. Hope you have family to care for you because there's no social safety net. And begging is illegal. The Vagabond Acts criminalise homelessness and poverty. If you're caught begging without a licence, you can be whipped through the streets, branded with a V on your chest for vagabond, or even executed if you're a repeat offender. Being poor isn't just hard in Tudor England. It's a crime punishable by torture and death. So you work. You work through pain, through injury, through illness. You work because the alternative is dying slowly in a ditch somewhere. And every day, you watch your body break down a little more. Your joints swell, your spine curves, your hands become twisted claws. By your 30s, you look 50. By your 40s, if you live that long, you're ancient. But at least you're still breathing. Which is more than can be said for the people dying of plague 3 streets over. It's afternoon now. You're exhausted from hours of labour. Your body aches, and then you see it. A red cross painted on your neighbour's door. Your blood turns cold. Above the cross, someone has written in shaky letters, "Lord, have mercy upon us." That house has plague. In Tudor England, plague isn't a historical footnote. It's a recurring nightmare that sweeps through cities every few years, killing thousands without warning or mercy. The disease moves with terrifying speed. Monday, your neighbour was fine. Tuesday, he complained of a headache. Wednesday, he was feverish and vomiting. Thursday morning, he showed you the swelling in his armpit, a hard lump the size of an egg that turned his skin purple-black. By Friday, he was dead. The plague starts with flu-like symptoms: fever, chills, weakness. Then come the buboes, swollen lymph nodes in your groin, armpits or neck that swell to the size of apples. They're agonizingly painful. They leak pus and blood and smell like death. Your skin turns black in patches as your blood stops circulating properly. You cough up blood. You hallucinate from the fever. And then usually, within 3 to 5 days of the first symptoms, you're dead. The mortality rate hovers around 60 to 80%, depending on the strain. There's no cure, no treatment beyond quarantine and prayer. When someone in your house gets plague, the law's clear. Everyone in the household is locked inside. A watchman is posted at your door to make sure nobody leaves. You're trapped in there with the infected, with the dying, with the corpses. Food is supposed to be delivered, but sometimes the watchman abandons his post because he's terrified of catching it himself. So you're locked in your house, potentially starving, definitely surrounded by disease, just waiting to see if you'll be the next to develop that telltale fever. Some people try to escape. They bribe the watchman or sneak out windows. If they're caught, they're forcibly returned, and the penalties are severe. Because one person fleeing can spread the plague to a whole new neighbourhood. But plague isn't even the most terrifying disease in Tudor England. That honour belongs to the English sweating sickness. The sweat appears without warning. Outbreaks hit in 1485, 1508, 1517, 1528 and 1551. Nobody knows what causes it. Nobody knows how to prevent it. And it kills faster than anything else. One morning you wake up feeling fine. By afternoon, you have a sudden, severe headache. Your body aches like you've been beaten with clubs. Then comes the sweat. You sweat so profusely, you're drenched within minutes. Your clothes are soaked through. Your bedding is saturated. You can't stop sweating no matter how cold you feel. Your heart races. You gasp for air. You feel like you're drowning. Within 24 hours, you're dead. There's no pattern to who it kills. The wealthy die more often than the poor, which is unusual. Young, healthy people drop dead while the elderly survive. It makes no sense. Anne Boleyn caught it and recovered, but her brother-in-law died. Cardinal Wolsey survived but lost several servants in a single night. Entire households were wiped out between breakfast and dinner. The terror of the sweat is its randomness and its speed. You can't prepare, you can't treat it, you can't run from it. One moment you're alive and the next you're dying, drowning in your own fluids, your body betraying you with horrifying efficiency. And then there's consumption, tuberculosis, the slow death. Consumption makes you waste away over months or years. You develop a cough that won't go away. Then you start coughing up blood. Little flecks at first, then more, then gobs of it. Your lungs are literally rotting inside your chest. You lose weight no matter how much you eat. Your skin becomes pale and translucent. Your eyes develop a feverish shine that people call the consumptive look. You sweat through your sheets every night. And slowly, inexorably, you drown as your lungs fill with fluid and blood. There's no treatment. You just waste away while your family watches helplessly. The disease is contagious, spread through coughing and close contact, so often entire families die one after another. Smallpox disfigures the lucky ones who survive. Your face becomes a landscape of deep permanent scars called pockmarks. Some people are so disfigured they're unrecognizable. Children run from them in the street. Typhus spread by lice causes high fever and a rash that spreads across your body. It's called jail fever because it thrives in the crowded, filthy conditions of prisons, but it spreads everywhere. Dysentery turns your bowels into water. You void uncontrollably, losing fluids faster than you can replace them, until you're nothing but a dried husk. And then there's syphilis, the French disease, newly arrived from the New World and spreading like wildfire through Europe. The first stage is just a sore that heals on its own. You think you're fine, but weeks later, you develop a rash. Then the disease goes quiet for years, lurking in your body. And then it comes back with a vengeance. Your nose collapses as the cartilage is destroyed. Your palate develops holes. Your bones rot from the inside. Your face literally caves in. Eventually, the disease reaches your brain, causing dementia, paralysis, and finally death. The treatment for syphilis is mercury. Doctors rub toxic mercury ointment on the sores or make you inhale mercury vapor in sealed rooms. The mercury causes more damage than the disease. Your teeth fall out, your gums rot, your kidneys fail, your brain is damaged. There's a saying among the afflicted, a night with Venus, a lifetime with Mercury. And if the diseases don't kill you, your doctor might. Tudor medicine is based on ancient Greek theory. The body contains 4 humours: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Illness is caused by these humours being out of balance. Got a fever? That's too much blood. The cure is bloodletting. They cut open a vein and drain pints of blood into a bowl. This doesn't help. It makes you weaker. But they do it anyway, because the theory says it should work. Headache? Maybe we should drill a hole in your skull to let the bad humours escape. This is called trepanning. And yes, people survive it sometimes, but mostly because human beings are incredibly hard to kill. Doctors diagnose disease by examining your urine, taking your pulse, and consulting astrological charts. Is Mars in retrograde? That might be why your stomach hurts. Most people can't afford doctors anyway. They go to the local wise woman or barber surgeon. These are the people who actually know practical things. Herbal remedies that sometimes work. How to set a broken bone. How to stitch a wound. But even they can't fix an infected wound, a burst appendix, a difficult childbirth, or any of the hundreds of things that kill people daily. So you live in constant fear. Every cough could be plague or consumption. Every fever could be the sweat. Every cut could turn septic and kill you. Every headache could be the first sign of something that will put you in the ground within a week. And there's nothing you can do except pray, which, as you're about to learn, is not optional. The church bell rings again. It's been ringing all day at regular intervals. Prime, terce, sext, vespers. The bells mark time, structure life, remind you constantly that God is watching. And in Tudor England, God is always watching. Religion isn't just part of life, it is life. The church controls your birth, your marriage, your death, and everything in between. It tells you when to work, when to rest, what to eat, and how to think. Every Sunday, attendance at church is mandatory, not suggested. Mandatory. Miss church and you're fined. Miss it repeatedly, and you're marked as a suspected heretic. And heresy can get you burned alive. The church service is in Latin, which you don't understand. The priest drones on for hours. You stand the entire time because pews don't exist yet. Your feet ache, your back aches. You're hungry and tired and you can't understand a word being said, but you better look attentive, because your neighbours are watching. Always watching. Tudor England is a surveillance state enforced not by police, but by your fellow citizens. Your neighbour pays attention to whether you attend church, whether you make the sign of the cross correctly, whether you pray to the right saints, and if they think you're doing it wrong, they'll report you. And the penalties are severe. Here's where it gets complicated. The right religion keeps changing depending on who's in power. Under Henry VIII, England breaks from the Catholic Church. The Pope is out. Henry declares himself supreme head of the Church of England. Refuse to accept this, and you're a traitor. Executed. Thomas More, Henry's former friend and Lord Chancellor, refuses to accept the king as head of the church. He's arrested, tried, and beheaded. His head is boiled and stuck on a spike on London Bridge as a warning. Catholic monks and priests who resist are executed. Their monasteries are dissolved, their land seized, their wealth confiscated. The destruction is brutal and swift. But here's the twist. Henry VIII isn't actually Protestant. He still wants Catholic ritual, just without papal authority. So if you're too Protestant in your beliefs, if you deny transubstantiation or criticize the saints, you can be burned as a heretic. You can be executed for being too Catholic or too Protestant. The safe zone is vanishingly narrow. When Henry dies, his 9-year-old son Edward becomes king. Edward is a zealous Protestant. Now if you're Catholic, you're in danger. Masses are banned, statues of saints are smashed, beautiful medieval church art is destroyed as idolatry. Edward dies at 15. His half-sister Mary takes the throne. Mary is Catholic, deeply, fervently Catholic. She's determined to bring England back to Rome, and she does it through fire. Mary's reign lasts only 5 years, but in that time she burns nearly 300 Protestants at the stake. Men, women, old, young, bishops and bakers. Anyone who refuses to convert is tied to a stake, surrounded by bundles of wood and set on fire. If you're wealthy Enough you can bribe the executioner to hang a bag of gunpowder around your neck. When the flames reach it, you'll explode and die quickly. If you can't afford the bribe, you burn slowly, screaming, your fat popping and sizzling while crowds watch. Some people take over an hour to die. This is where Mary earns her nickname, Bloody Mary. When Mary dies, Elizabeth I takes the throne. Elizabeth is Protestant, but she's pragmatic. She doesn't care what you believe in your heart as long as you attend the Anglican Church and keep your mouth shut. But Catholics are still persecuted. Priests are hunted. Families are fined enormous sums for not attending Protestant services. Catholic nobles are executed for treason. The paranoia is intense because everyone remembers the burnings. So you learn to keep your head down. You don't express opinions about religion. You don't trust anyone because your neighbour, your friend, even your family member might report you if they think you're on the wrong side. And here's the really messed up part. You don't actually know which side is right. The church says, if you die in the wrong faith, you go to hell. Eternal torment, lakes of fire, demons tearing your flesh for eternity. But which faith is the right one? It seems to change with every monarch. So you pray. You pray constantly, desperately, hedging your bets. You try to believe whatever the current regime demands. You perform the rituals, you say the words, and you hope God judges you on your sincerity rather than the technicalities of which version of Christianity you were following when you died. Religion isn't comfort in Tudor England. It's terror dressed up in ceremony. The only certainty is that someone, somewhere, thinks you're doing it wrong, and they're watching. The afternoon drags on. Your clothes are soaked with sweat from hours of labour, and they stink. But there's nothing you can do about it because this is the only outfit you own. Let's talk about getting dressed in Tudor England, because fashion isn't about self-expression, it's about survival. What you wear announces your class to everyone who sees you, and wearing clothes above your station is illegal. The sumptuary laws dictate exactly what fabrics, colours, and styles are permitted for each social class. Silk? Only nobility. Purple dye? Royalty only. Fur trim? Depends on your rank. Gold embroidery? Not for you, peasant. Violate these laws and you face fines, public humiliation, or imprisonment. Fashion is hierarchy made visible, enforced by law. If you're poor, getting dressed is simple, because you have one outfit. 1. You put on the same linen shirt or smock you've been wearing all week. Over that goes a wool tunic or kirtle that's stained, patched and threadbare. Stockings that are just strips of cloth wrapped around your legs. Crude leather shoes that don't distinguish between left and right feet because that innovation won't happen for another century. No underwear in the modern sense. No bra. Women just wrap cloth around their breasts if they want support. No socks, just layer upon layer of unwashed fabric. But if you're wealthy, getting dressed is a 2-hour ordeal that requires help and might actually cause physical harm. Women's fashion is designed to restrict movement and breathing. First comes the shift, a long linen chemise. Then the corset, except they call it a pair of bodies. It's stiffened with wood, whalebone, or sometimes iron. The goal is to create a flat chest. Large breasts are considered vulgar, and a tiny waist. Your servant laces it so tightly that your ribs compress. You cannot take a full breath. Eating is difficult. If you're pregnant, which you probably are, the corset increases your risk of miscarriage. Next comes the farthingale, a structured underskirt held out by hoops of wood or wire. This makes your skirt stick out in a perfect cone shape. You look like a walking bell. You can barely fit through doorways. You can't see your feet. If you trip, you're going down hard with no way to catch yourself. On top of this goes your kirtle, then your gown, then possibly a partlet to fill in the neckline, then sleeves that attach separately and are often more valuable than the dress itself. Around your neck goes a ruff. These collars start small but grow increasingly absurd as the century progresses. Large ruffs require starching, with a mixture that often contains lead. They're pleated into hundreds of tiny folds and set with heated metal poking sticks. The largest ruffs need wire supports, called supportas. You cannot turn your head. You cannot lower your chin to eat. You just exist as a decorative head on a plate of fabric. And the makeup. Oh, the makeup. Tudor beauty standards demand pale white skin, because tan skin means you work outside, which means you're poor. To achieve this, women use Venetian ceruse, a white lead paint. They apply it daily to their faces, necks and chests. Lead is highly toxic. It causes hair loss, tooth decay, skin discoloration, and eventually kills you. Queen Elizabeth. I uses it every day for decades. By the end of her life, her face is a mask of cracking white paint, covering extensive scarring from the smallpox she survived. For rosy cheeks and lips, women use vermilion, which is mercuric sulfide. Yes, mercury. More poison, this time on your lips. And to make your eyes look larger and more appealing, you put drops of belladonna in them. Belladonna is deadly nightshade. It dilates your pupils, creates a doe-eyed look, and also causes blurred vision, light sensitivity, and eventually blindness if you use it long enough. You are literally poisoning yourself daily to look beautiful. Men suffer too. Tudor men's fashion includes the codpiece, a padded pouch for the genitals that protrudes prominently from the front of the hose. The bigger and more ornate, the better. Henry VIII's armour includes a codpiece because apparently his battle gear needs to make a statement about his virility. Doublets are tight-fitted jackets, padded and stuffed to create exaggerated shoulders and chest. You look like a Renaissance bodybuilder made of fabric. Hose are basically tights showing off your legs. If your legs aren't great, stuff them with padding. And the ruffs, men wear them too, restricting neck movement and making every meal an adventure in not getting food on your fabric satellite dish. The codpiece deserves special mention because it evolves from practical garment to decorative absurdity. By the mid-1500s, men are wearing codpieces that are padded, embroidered with gold thread, and comically large. Some codpieces have pockets. Men store coins, handkerchiefs, and love letters in their crotch pouches. Henry VIII's codpiece in his later portraits is enormous, a symbolic declaration of power and virility even as his actual health deteriorates and his legs rot. Now try to do anything practical while dressed like this. Riding a horse in a farthingale? Nearly impossible. Walking any distance? You're wearing 30 pounds of fabric and sweating profusely in layers that don't breathe. Going to the bathroom? Women have no underwear, so they just squat and hope their skirts hide everything. Your clothes itch constantly because wool is scratchy and nothing is washed properly. Lice live in the fabric. Bed bugs nest in the seams. You're perpetually uncomfortable, perpetually scratching, and there's nothing you can do about it because everyone is suffering the same way. Fashion in Tudor England isn't about looking good. It's about displaying your status while slowly suffocating and poisoning yourself. And God help you if you try to dress above your station. Let's say through some miracle of birth or marriage, you find yourself at court. Congratulations, you've just entered the most dangerous place in all of England. The Tudor court is a gilded trap where one wrong word, one misread glance, one whispered rumour can end with your head on a block. The court revolves entirely around one person, the king. And by the 1540s, Henry VIII is a nightmare. The athletic young man who once dazzled Europe is gone. In his place is a grotesquely obese tyrant weighing over 300 pounds. His legs are ulcerated and rotting, weeping pus and giving off a stench so powerful that courtiers gag when they approach. He can barely walk. Servants carry him in specially constructed chairs. His mood swings are legendary and terrifying. One moment he's jovial, laughing, rewarding someone with lands and titles. The next he's screaming, convinced of plots against him, signing execution warrants for former friends. This is the man you must please every single day. Life at court means performing constant flattery. You laugh at the king's jokes even when they're not funny. You praise his poetry, even though it's terrible. You watch him eat enormous meals while you're starving because nobody eats until the king is finished. When he decides to move the court to a different palace because this one smells, it does, hundreds of people living in close quarters with no plumbing, you pack up everything and follow. You have no choice. The competition for the king's favour is vicious. Men fight for positions, gentlemen of the privy chamber, which means you help the king use the toilet, and it's considered a position of intimacy and power. Master of the horse, positions on the privy council. Women compete to become ladies in waiting to the queen, which puts you in proximity to power and makes you visible to the king. And being noticed by the king can make your fortune or end your life. Anne Boleyn knows this better than anyone. She's a lady in waiting to Queen Catherine when she catches Henry's eye. He becomes obsessed. For 6 years he pursues her. He breaks with the Catholic Church, declares himself supreme head of the Church of England, annuls his marriage to Catherine, all to have Anne. Anne becomes queen. She gives birth to Elizabeth but fails to produce a male heir. Henry's interest cools, and then it turns to something darker. He becomes convinced she's bewitched him, that she used sorcery to make him desire her. The charges against her are adultery, incest with her own brother, and treason. The evidence is flimsy, probably fabricated. Confessions are extracted through torture and fear. But it doesn't matter. Once the king wants you dead, you're dead. Anne is arrested in May 1536. She's held in the same rooms in the Tower of London where she stayed before her coronation. The symmetry is cruel. Her trial is a formality. She's convicted, sentenced to death. On May 19th, she walks to the scaffold on Tower Green. She's been told she'll be beheaded with a sword, a more merciful death than the axe. She gives a short speech praising the king because even facing death, you don't insult Henry if you want your family to survive. Then she kneels. The French executioner swings his sword. One clean blow. Her head is severed. She's 35 years old. Within 11 days, Henry is engaged to Jane Seymour. And Anne isn't the only victim of court politics. Thomas Cromwell, Henry's most trusted advisor, the architect of the English Reformation, is arrested in 1540 on charges of treason and heresy. He's executed without trial. Henry later admits Cromwell was innocent, that he was manipulated into signing the warrant. Too late. Catherine Howard, Henry's fifth wife, is executed at 19 for adultery. Whether she was actually guilty or just young and foolish doesn't matter. The Duke of Buckingham, Margaret Pole, Thomas More, the list of executed courtiers grows longer every year. So court life is an endless performance. You smile, you flatter, you dance and make music and hunt and feast. You dress in your finest clothes, bankrupting yourself to maintain appearances. And all the while, you watch. Who's rising? Who's falling? Who just got called to a private audience? Who's absent from dinner? Because absence is noted, silence is suspicious. And once suspicion falls on you, it's nearly impossible to shake. The Tower of London isn't just a fortress, it's a holding cell for the condemned. If you're sent to the Tower, you know what's coming. Some prisoners carve their names into the stone walls. Messages, prayers, dates, you can still see them. The Tower also houses instruments of torture. The rack stretches your body until your joints dislocate and your ligaments tear. The scavenger's daughter compresses your body until your ribs crack and blood leaks from your nose and ears. Thumb screws crush your fingers. Branding irons sear your flesh. Torture is legal. It's used to extract confessions. And once you confess, even under unbearable agony, you're finished. So court life isn't glamorous. It's not romantic. It's a daily exercise in survival, where the wrong glance, the wrong word, or just being in the wrong place at the wrong time can end in your execution. And the twisted part, people still fight desperately to be there. Because despite the danger, the court is where power is. And in Tudor England, power is the only thing that matters. Even if it kills you. It's late afternoon now. You're walking through Cheapside, one of London's main streets. The stench is overwhelming as always, but there's something else in the air today. Excitement. A crowd is gathering. Vendors are setting up to sell meat pies and ale. Children are pushing their way to the front. People are chatting, laughing, treating this like a festival. You know what that means? An execution. In Tudor England, punishment isn't hidden behind prison walls. It's public spectacle designed to terrify and entertain in equal measure. The cart arrives, drawn by horses. Standing in the back is a young man, maybe 19 years old. His hands are bound. His face is pale. He's been condemned for theft. What did he steal? A loaf of bread and a small purse containing 13 pence. The penalty? Death. You watch as he's led to the gallows, a permanent wooden structure that dominates the square. The noose is placed around his neck. A priest mumbles prayers that the young man probably can't hear over the roar of blood in his ears. The executioner doesn't give a speech. He just pushes the ladder away. The young man drops. But this isn't the merciful quick death where your neck snaps instantly. That technique won't be perfected for another century. This is slow strangulation. He dangles, kicking desperately. His face turns purple, then nearly black. His tongue protrudes. He loses control of his bladder and bowels, and waste runs down his legs. The crowd jeers and laughs. It takes nearly 10 minutes for him to die. His mother is in the crowd. She's weeping, but she doesn't look away. After about 5 minutes, she pushes forward and grabs his legs, pulling down with all her weight. This is mercy. The added weight hastens death. Finally, he stops moving. The body is left hanging for hours as a warning. But hanging is for common criminals. The real entertainment comes with executions for treason. Treason is defined so broadly that almost anything can qualify. Speaking ill of the king, refusing to accept his religious reforms, being on the wrong side of a political dispute, prophesying the king's death, even accidentally. For men convicted of treason, the punishment is hanging, drawing, and quartering. Let me walk you through it because you need to understand just how barbaric Tudor justice is. First, you're dragged through the streets on a wooden hurdle, a flat frame that bounces over cobblestones. The crowds throw filth at you, rotten vegetables, dead animals, human waste. They spit and curse. When you reach the execution site, you're hanged by the neck but cut down before you die. While you're still conscious, barely alive and gasping, the executioner cuts off your genitals and burns them in front of you on a brazier. Then he slices open your abdomen. He reaches inside and pulls out your intestines, slowly, hand over hand, like pulling rope. These are also burned while you watch, while you're still alive, still conscious, experiencing agony beyond human comprehension. Next, he cuts out your heart and holds it up to the crowd, shouting, "Behold the heart of a traitor." Finally, he beheads you. Your body is then hacked into quarters. Your head and body parts are parboiled to preserve them, then displayed on spikes throughout London. Your head goes on London Bridge. Your quarters go to other major thoroughfares. They stay there for months, rotting, picked at by ravens until they're unrecognisable. This isn't theoretical horror. This happens regularly. People bring picnic lunches to watch. For women convicted of treason, there's a different method. Hanging, drawing and quartering a woman is considered indecent. Exposing her body in that way would be improper. So instead, women are burned alive. You're tied to a wooden stake. Bundles of wood are piled around you, reaching chest height. If you've managed to bribe the executioner, he'll strangle you with a cord as the fire is lit, so you're dead before the flames reach you. If you can't afford the bribe, you burn. It starts with your feet and legs. The pain is unimaginable. You scream until your lungs are seared. Your hair catches fire. Your skin blackens and splits. The smell of burning human flesh fills the air, and people in the crowd cover their noses with handkerchiefs. It can take 15 to 20 minutes to die, depending on how the wood is stacked and how hot the fire burns. And the crowd watches, cheering when the flames reach higher, jeering if you scream too much. This is entertainment. This is justice. But there are so many other creative punishments for lesser crimes. The pillory locks your head and hands in wooden stocks in the public square. You stand there for hours, sometimes days, while the crowd throws things at you. They start with rotten vegetables, then dead rats, then stones. People have died in the pillory from head injuries. For women who talk too much or gossip, and too much is determined entirely by men, there's the scold's bridle. It's a metal cage that fits over your head with a spiked plate that presses down on your tongue. You're paraded through town wearing it, unable to speak, drooling blood. The ducking stool is reserved for scolds and women accused of being witches. You're strapped to a chair, attached to a long wooden beam, and dunked repeatedly in the river. The crowd laughs as you gasp and choke. Some women drown, especially if they're old or weak. Whipping is common for minor offences. You're stripped to the waist, tied to a post, and flogged with a cat o' nine tails, a whip with multiple knotted cords. The whipper is paid per stroke, so he makes sure each one counts. Your back is shredded. The scars are permanent. Branding marks you forever. Thieves get a T burned into their thumbs with a red-hot iron. The smell of burning flesh, the sizzle, your own skin cooking, the pain is so intense that people pass out, which is actually a mercy. And then there's the religious persecution, which operates on a level of cruelty that's hard to comprehend. Under Henry VIII, Catholics who refuse to accept him as head of the church are traitors, executed. Under Edward VI, Catholics are persecuted. Under Mary Protestants are burned by the hundreds. Under Elizabeth I, Catholic priests are hunted down and killed. Your religious beliefs, which you might genuinely hold as matters of conscience and faith, can get you tortured and executed. And the correct belief changes with each monarch. So you learn to keep your head down. You don't express opinions. You attend whatever church is currently mandatory. You inform on your neighbours before they can inform on you. Because in Tudor England, justice isn't about fairness or rehabilitation. It's about power, control, and fear. And the screams from the scaffold are a constant reminder that you could be next. The sun is finally setting. Your body is destroyed from hours of labour. You're hungry despite the meagre meal you choked down at midday, and you're about to discover that nighttime in Tudor England is somehow worse than the day. First comes the darkness. Not the kind of darkness where you flip a switch and the room floods with light. Not even the darkness where streetlights cast orange glows on corners. Total darkness. The sun drops below the horizon and the world is plunged into blackness, so complete that you literally cannot see your hand in front of your face. If you're wealthy, you light a candle. Beeswax if you're very wealthy. These burn clean and smell pleasant, but they're expensive, so you use them sparingly. Tallow candles made from animal fat are cheaper, but they smoke terribly and smell like burning meat. Most people can't afford even tallow candles on a regular basis, so when the sun goes down, you go to bed. Because what else can you do? But let's say you need to go outside at night. Maybe you're a night watchman walking your rounds. Maybe you're sneaking to a lover's house. Maybe you just need to use the privy and don't want to do it inside your single-room dwelling. You need a lantern, a candle enclosed in a pierced metal box. It provides barely enough light to see 3 feet ahead. Everything beyond that is impenetrable shadow, where anything could be lurking. The streets at night are terrifying in ways that modern people can't fully grasp. There's a curfew in most towns. After the bell rings at dusk, you're supposed to be indoors. If the watch catches you out after curfew without a legitimate reason, you can be arrested as a vagrant. And the streets themselves are dangerous. Crime spikes after dark. Robbers and cut purses know that people can't identify them in the darkness. Gangs of young men roam looking for trouble. There's a rudimentary watch, volunteers with clubs and lanterns, but they're easily bribed or simply avoid the dangerous areas. If you're attacked at night, scream all you want. Most people will assume it's not their business. Getting involved could get you hurt or killed, so why risk it? The sounds of the city at night are a constant assault. Dogs barking, rats squeaking as they fight over garbage in the streets. Somewhere close, someone is coughing. That deep, wet cough that means consumption. Someone else is screaming. Are they being robbed, murdered, in childbirth? You don't know, and you don't investigate. Cartwheels rumble over cobblestones as late-night deliveries are made. The watch calls out the hours. 1 o'clock and all's well, except nothing is well. Inside your home, you're not much safer. The fire has been banked for the night because firewood is expensive. You huddle under your single wool blanket with your entire family. The cold seeps into your bones. You hear everything through the thin walls. Your neighbour's baby crying, a thin, weak cry that sounds like it's dying. It probably is. The couple upstairs fighting. Someone vomiting violently, probably from bad food or plague. Could be plague. Sleep doesn't come easily. Your straw mattress is lumpy and full of biting insects. Your body aches from the day's labour. Your stomach growls because you're still hungry. The tooth that's been bothering you throbs with each heartbeat. And you lie there in the dark, staring at nothing, thinking about everything that could kill you tomorrow. Plague, the sweat, an infected cut, a fall that breaks your leg, which will likely get infected and kill you. The king's bad mood if you're anywhere near court. A false accusation of theft or heresy. Childbirth if you're a woman. Starvation if the harvest fails. The list is endless, but eventually exhaustion wins. Your eyes close. You drift into fitful sleep punctuated by the sounds of the city and your own body's discomfort. And tomorrow, you'll wake up and do it all over again. If you survive the night, let's talk about what it's like to be a woman in Tudor England. Because if you thought being a man in this era was difficult, being a woman is that same difficulty with additional layers of danger, powerlessness, and societal contempt. From birth, your value is measured by your ability to marry well and produce sons. That's it. That's your entire purpose in the eyes of society. If you're born to a wealthy family, your childhood is spent learning skills that will make you marriageable. Needlework, music, dancing, basic literacy if your family is progressive. You're essentially being groomed as a commodity to be sold to the highest bidder or the most politically advantageous match. If you're born to a poor family, your childhood is even shorter. By age 7, you're working, tending animals, helping with younger siblings, learning to spin wool on a drop spindle, which will destroy your hands with a repetitive motion by the time you're 20. Marriage happens early, really early. Betrothals at 10 or 12 aren't uncommon, especially among the nobility. Consummation might wait until you're older, but you're legally bound. Among the lower classes, marriage typically happens in your mid-teens. And here's the thing, you have no say. Your father or male guardian decides who you marry. Your opinion is irrelevant. If you're lucky, he chooses someone kind. If you're unlucky, he chooses someone old, cruel, or violent. Or all three. Once you're married, you cease to exist legally. Everything you own becomes your husband's property. Any money you earn goes to him. You cannot sign contracts, own property, or make legal decisions without his permission. You are, in the eyes of the law, essentially your husband's possession. And here's where it gets worse. Your primary duty is to produce children. Sons specifically. Daughters are disappointing. Failure to produce a son reflects on your worth as a woman. Anne Boleyn lost her head partly because she only gave Henry a daughter. Never mind that the sex of a child is determined by the father's sperm. In Tudor England, reproductive failure is always the woman's fault, so you get pregnant. And pregnancy in Tudor England is a death lottery. There's no prenatal care, no ultrasounds, no understanding of nutrition beyond eat what you can get, no pain relief, no medical intervention if something goes wrong. When your time comes, you enter confinement. You're shut away in a darkened room with only female attendants. Men, including your husband, are banned. The midwife arrives, a woman whose only training is having watched other births. Labour begins. It might last hours, it might last days. There's nothing to manage the pain except screaming and maybe some ale. The midwife might give you ergot to speed contractions, the same fungus that causes hallucinations and makes limbs rot off. They don't know this, they just know it sometimes. Makes babies come faster. If everything goes smoothly, you give birth. The baby is placed on your chest. The umbilical cord is cut with whatever blade is handy, and you pray the bleeding stops. But often things don't go smoothly. If the baby is breech, you're probably going to die. The midwife has no way to turn the baby. You just labour and labour and labour until you die from exhaustion and blood loss, or until your uterus ruptures and you die from internal bleeding. If the placenta doesn't detach, you bleed out. If pieces remain inside, you develop an infection called childbed fever and die over several agonizing days as fever consumes you. If the baby dies inside you, you're almost certainly going to die too. There's no way to safely remove it. The maternal mortality rate is staggering. About 1 in 3 women die in childbirth or from complications shortly after, and most women give birth multiple times. 5, 8, 10 pregnancies aren't uncommon. You're rolling the dice with your life over and over and over. And if you survive childbirth, congratulations. You now have an infant to care for while recovering from what is essentially a major medical trauma. There's no maternity leave, no rest period. You're expected to be up and working within days. The infant might not survive. About half of all children die before age 5. Disease, malnutrition, accidents, things nobody can explain. You lose child after child, burying them in the churchyard, enduring the grief, and then getting pregnant again because that's what's expected. If you're unmarried, your options are bleak. You can be a domestic servant, which means long hours, terrible pay, and a high risk of sexual assault from your employer or his sons. If you get pregnant from rape, you're the one who gets punished. You might be whipped through the streets, branded as a whore, thrown out with no means of support. You can be a seamstress, working your fingers bloody for pennies. You can be an alewife, brewing and selling ale, which is decent money, until someone gets sick from your batch and you're blamed. Or you can be a prostitute. Tudor London has thousands of prostitutes. The work is illegal but tolerated. It's also incredibly dangerous. Disease, violence, pregnancy, arrest, social stigma so severe that you're considered less than human. And here's something that will make your blood boil. If a woman speaks her mind too freely, she can be legally punished. The scold's bridle, that metal cage with the spiked tongue plate, is specifically for women who talk too much. What constitutes too much? Whatever men decide. Complaining about your husband? That's too much. Arguing in the marketplace? Too much. Having opinions? Definitely too much. You're paraded through the streets wearing this torture device while people mock and jeer. The message is clear. Shut up. And if you're accused of witchcraft, you're truly doomed. Witchcraft accusations are almost always directed at women, particularly women who don't conform. Women who are outspoken. Women with knowledge of herbs and healing. Women who are just old and poor and make convenient scapegoats when something goes wrong in the village. The tests for witchcraft are designed so you cannot win. They tie you up and throw you in water. If you float, you're guilty because the pure water rejects you. If you sink, you're innocent, but you drown. Either way, you're dead. Being a woman in Tudor England means navigating a world designed to control, exploit, and silence you. Your body is not your own. Your life is not your own. Your voice is not your own. You're expected to endure pain, loss, and subjugation with grace, to smile and submit and never complain. And if you don't, there are pillories and bridles and stakes waiting. The remarkable thing is that women survived this. They found ways to carve out power in impossible circumstances. They built networks of support. They passed down knowledge. They raised children and ran households and kept the world turning despite everything. But make no mistake, being a woman in Tudor England is survival mode with the difficulty cranked to maximum. And there's no respawning. It's night now. You're lying in your bed, trying to sleep, but your mind won't quiet. Because in Tudor England, death isn't something that happens to other people. It's everywhere. Constant, expected, You're thinking about the family 3 streets over. Last week they were fine. Then the father developed a fever. Within 3 days he was covered in black buboes and screaming in delirium. 4 days later, he was dead. 2 days after that, his wife showed symptoms. Then their eldest son. The house is marked with a red cross now. Everyone inside is locked in. You can hear the baby crying from here, thin and desperate. How long before that cry stops? This is life with plague. It's not a one-time catastrophe. It's recurring horror that sweeps through London every few years, killing thousands, and nobody knows why or how to stop it. The theories about plague are wildly wrong. Most people believe it's caused by bad air, miasma rising from a rotting matter. So they carry nosegays of flowers and pomanders of spices, thinking pleasant smells will protect them. They don't. Some think it's God's punishment for sin. So they pray harder, attend church more, whip themselves bloody in public displays of penance. This doesn't work either. Nobody understands that rats carry fleas, and fleas carry bacteria, that the filthy streets and overcrowded houses are perfect breeding grounds for disease. That quarantine, while brutal, is actually one of the few effective measures. So plague just keeps coming, and when it does, the city transforms. Theatres close, markets shut down. Anyone who can afford to flees to the countryside. The wealthy pack up their households and leave the poor to die. If you're trapped in the city, you learn to recognise the signs. Red crosses on doors, the constant tolling of death bells, carts rumbling through streets at night, collecting bodies. The driver calling, "Bring out your dead." Bodies are stacked in the carts like firewood. Sometimes people who are only unconscious are thrown in with the dead. They wake up in the plague pit, buried alive under corpses. The plague pits themselves are massive trenches dug outside the city. Bodies are dumped in without ceremony, without coffins, covered with lime and dirt. So many dead that the graves overflow. But plague isn't the only death stalking you. The sweating sickness kills faster than plague. Healthy people drop dead within hours. There's no warning, no pattern, no defence. Smallpox disfigures survivors so severely they're unrecognisable. Consumption slowly drowns you in your own blood over months or years. Typhus spreads through lice and devastates crowded areas. Dysentery empties your bowels until you die of dehydration. And these are just the famous diseases. There are dozens more, mysterious fevers that come and go, wasting diseases that have no name, infections that spread through cuts so small you barely notice them. Childbirth kills women constantly. Violence kills men and women both. Accidents kill everyone. A fall from a ladder, a kick from a horse, a slip on icy cobblestones that cracks your skull. Life expectancy is brutal. If you survive childhood, which about half of children don't, you might make it to 40 or 50. Maybe. Living to 60 makes you ancient. And death isn't dignified or peaceful. There's no morphine to ease pain, no antibiotics to fight infection, no surgery to fix internal injuries. You die screaming. You die covered in your own waste. You die calling for help that never comes. And the living move on quickly because they have to. Grief is a luxury. Your spouse dies, you remarry within months because you need someone to help run the household. Your child dies, you bury them and try for another. Your friend dies, you avoid their house in case whatever killed them is contagious. The constant proximity to death changes people. It makes life feel cheap and brutal. It makes people fatalistic. Why plan for the future when plague might kill you tomorrow? It also makes them deeply religious. Because if this life is suffering, the promise of heaven is all that keeps people going. The church tells you that earthly pain is temporary, but heavenly reward is eternal. So you suffer, you endure, you pray, and you go to bed each night wondering if you'll wake up. So let's be honest with ourselves. Could you actually survive a day in Tudor England? Let's tally up everything you've faced in the last 24 hours. You woke up covered in insect bites, sharing a bed with parasites and family members, in a room that smells like a medieval cesspool. You emptied a bucket of human waste into the street. You couldn't brush your teeth or bathe because Tudor medicine thinks water is dangerous. You ate potentially poisonous bread, drank ale that might contain sewage, and maybe ate spoiled meat off plates that are slowly poisoning you with lead. You worked back-breaking labour for 14 hours with no breaks, no safety equipment, and no workers' rights. Your body, even though you're only in your 20s, feels ancient. Your spine is damaged, your teeth are rotting, your hands are destroyed. You lived in constant fear of plague, the sweat, consumption, smallpox, and a dozen other diseases that can kill you in days or hours. You navigated a legal system where stealing bread can get you hanged, and where the king's mood determines whether you live or die. You dealt with complete lack of privacy, no hygiene, no medical care, no human rights. You went to bed hungry in the dark and cold. And this is just an ordinary day. We haven't even covered what happens if you're accused of witchcraft, if you're gay, if you're a religious minority, or if you just happen to be in the wrong place when someone powerful is in a bad mood. The truth is, most modern people wouldn't last a week. The food would make you violently ill within days. Your body isn't adapted to the bacteria and parasites that Tudor people lived with their whole lives. What they considered normal food poisoning would put you in the hospital. The lack of hygiene would cause infections. That cut on your hand from working. In the modern world, you'd wash it and put on a bandage. In Tudor England, it gets dirty, infected, and might kill you from sepsis. The diseases would devastate you. You have no immunity to plague or the sweat or smallpox. Your first exposure would likely kill you. The work would break your body. Modern people, even those who work physically demanding jobs, don't labour from dawn to dusk every single day, from childhood. Your muscles, bones and joints aren't conditioned for it. The social rules would confuse and endanger you. You don't know how to bow correctly to different social ranks. You don't know which topics are dangerous to discuss. You don't know which version of Christianity is currently mandatory. One wrong word could get you arrested, and the psychological toll would be immense. Constant hunger, constant pain, constant fear. Watching children die, watching your neighbours die, never feeling safe or comfortable or clean. Tudor people endured all of this because they knew nothing else. This was normal to them. They were conditioned from birth to accept suffering as the natural state of existence. But you're used to antibiotics and painkillers and clean water and food safety and human rights and the reasonable expectation that you'll live into your 70s or 80s. Drop you into Tudor England and you'd be overwhelmed within hours, physically ill within days, probably dead within months. And yet, Tudor people weren't stupid or primitive. They were humans just like us, doing their best with the knowledge and resources available to them. They still laughed, they still fell in love, they still created art and music and literature that we treasure centuries later. Shakespeare wrote his plays during the late Tudor period, performing them in theatres where nobles and peasants laughed at the same jokes. Elizabeth I navigated deadly court politics and ruled for 45 years despite multiple assassination attempts. Ordinary people found joy in festivals, in community, in small moments of beauty amid the brutality. Tudor England produced some of humanity's greatest cultural achievements. The English language flourished, explorations expanded, scientific thinking began to challenge old superstitions. But the cost was suffering on a scale we can barely imagine. Every achievement was built on the backs of people who died young and in pain. Every beautiful building was constructed by labourers whose bodies were destroyed by the work. Every political decision was enforced through violence and fear. The Tudor period wasn't romantic. It wasn't glamorous. It was brutal, unfair, and dangerous. And the only reason we can appreciate the art and history of that time is because we don't have to live it. The church bell rings again. It's dawn. You've somehow survived the night. You pry your eyes open in the darkness. Every muscle in your body screams. Your head throbs from hunger and dehydration. The flea bites itch furiously, and you realize with sinking dread that you have to do this all over again. Every day is the same. Wake up. Perform the degrading ritual of dealing with human waste. Choke down questionable food. Work until your body gives out. Survive, sleep, repeat. There's no vacation, no weekend, no retirement. Just endless labor until your body finally gives up completely. And this might be your life for 20, 30, maybe 40 years if you're incredibly lucky. Unless plague kills you, or the sweat, or childbirth if you're a woman, or an infected cut, or food poisoning, or violence, or 1,000 other things lurking around every corner. The question isn't really whether you could survive a day in Tudor England. With enough luck and stubbornness, you probably could survive one day. The question is, would you want to? Would you want to live without modern medicine? Without antibiotics that can cure infections that would have killed you in Tudor times? Without anesthesia for surgery or dentistry? Without vaccines that prevent diseases that slaughtered millions? Would you want to live without basic hygiene? Without soap and shampoo and toothpaste and deodorant? Without the ability to wash your clothes and your body whenever you want? Would you want to live without food safety, never knowing if your next meal might kill you? Without refrigeration or understanding of bacteria or regulations that ensure your food isn't contaminated with sawdust or sewage? Would you want to live without human rights? Where your life is worth nothing if you're born to the wrong family? Where you can be executed for stealing bread or speaking your mind or praying the wrong way? Would you want to live without any safety net? Where one injury, one illness, one piece of bad luck means destitution and death? Would you want to live knowing that every day could be your last? That plague could arrive tomorrow and kill half your neighborhood? That the king could decide you're a traitor on a whim? That childbirth is a game of Russian roulette? The answer, if you're honest with yourself, is no. No matter how dissatisfied you might be with modern life, no matter how stressful your job or how difficult your circumstances, you would not trade places with someone in Tudor England. Because despite all our modern problems, and we have many, we live in a world of abundance that would seem like paradise to a Tudor person. You can turn on a tap and get clean water. You can flip a switch and have light. You can go to a store and buy food that won't kill you. You can visit a doctor who actually understands how disease works. You have rights, you have choices, you have the reasonable expectation that if you're sick or injured, someone will help you rather than letting you die in the street. You live in a world where child mortality is rare rather than expected, where women can own property and choose their husbands and pursue careers, where you're not executed for your religious beliefs or sexual orientation. A world where pain can be managed and infections can be cured and life expectancy is measured in decades beyond what Tudor people could imagine. The Tudor period shaped our modern world. Their struggles, their innovations, their suffering paved the way for the rights and comforts we enjoy today. But we owe it to them and to ourselves to remember how brutal that world was, to appreciate what we have, to never romanticize the past beyond recognition. Because the truth is, Tudor England would kill you. Quickly or slowly, violently or quietly, it would kill you. And the fact that you're sitting here, safe and comfortable, listening to this story in the dark, that's a miracle they could never have imagined. So here we are, at the end of our journey through Tudor England. You've experienced 24 hours of life in the 1540s. You felt the fear, the pain, the exhaustion, the constant low-level terror of existing in a world that's actively trying to kill you. And now, you're back here, in the present, where the lights work and the water is clean, and your teeth don't hurt, and you're not covered in flea bites. Take a moment to appreciate that. Really appreciate it. The fact that you can lie in a comfortable bed tonight without sharing it with parasites, that you can use a bathroom with running water and toilet paper, that you can eat food without worrying it's going to make your fingers fall off. The fact that if you get sick, there are doctors who understand germ theory and antibiotics that can cure infections. That if you break a bone, it can be set properly. That if you need surgery, you'll be unconscious and pain-free. The fact that you have choices. You can choose your career, your partner, your beliefs. You can speak your mind without fear of execution. You can move through the world with rights and protections that Tudor people couldn't imagine. Yes, modern life has problems, serious problems, inequality, injustice, suffering. We're not living in a utopia, but we're also not living in Tudor England. And that, when you really think about it, is something to be grateful for every single day. The Tudors, who suffered through that brutal existence, they'd look at our world and think we were living in paradise. Running water? Incredible. Electric lights, sorcery, medicine that actually works, a miracle from God. So tonight, when you slip into your clean bed with your indoor plumbing and your central heating and your fully stocked refrigerator, take a moment. Say a quiet thank you to the universe, or God, or evolution, or whatever you believe in. Thank you for antibiotics. Thank you for dentistry. Thank you for food safety regulations. Thank you for human rights. Thank you for living in an age where survival isn't the only goal, where we can actually think about happiness and fulfillment and purpose. And maybe, if you're feeling really grateful, spare a thought for all those Tudor souls who struggled through that difficult world so that eventually, centuries later, their descendants could have it better. They suffered, they endured, they survived just barely, and bit by bit, generation by generation, humans built a world where suffering isn't inevitable, where pain can be treated, where life can be more than just survival. We're not done improving. There's still so much work to do, but we're also standing on the shoulders of everyone who came before us, everyone who endured the unendurable, so their children might have a slightly better life. The Tudors are gone. Their world is gone. But the lessons remain. Life is fragile. Survival is never guaranteed. And the comforts we take for granted are gifts that came at enormous cost. So sleep well tonight, in your comfortable bed, in your safe home. And maybe tomorrow, when you wake up with modern plumbing and clean water and a fully stocked kitchen, you'll take just a moment to appreciate how extraordinary that really is. Because you could have been born in 1542, and if you had been, you almost certainly wouldn't have made it to today. Sweet dreams, everyone, and be grateful, so grateful that you're living now. Thank you all for joining me on this journey into Tudor England. If you made it all the way through, I appreciate you more than you know. Let me know in the comments what surprised you most about Tudor life. What would have been the hardest part for you to endure? And honestly, do you think you could have survived even a single week? If you enjoyed this deep dive into history's brutal truths, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more content exploring the realities behind the myths, and share this with someone who romanticizes the past. Maybe it'll give them a new perspective. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and remember, you're living in the best time in human history to be alive. Even with all our problems, we have it better than any generation that came before us. Don't forget that. Sleep well.